our fundamental right not to be framed by the state. So from where this fundamental right comes, and what is the genesis and what is the basis of that? You see, the democracies, we are living in a democracy. And we don't only say democracy in our constitution, it's a liberal democracy. So liberal democracy is based on the principle of tolerance. And another important feature is that it is based on the social contract theory, where it is we, the people, who have come together and who have given ourselves this constitution, which is the fundamental law of governance of a nation. And it is we, the people, who elect the representatives who have to govern us. It is the rule of recognition which is given to the elected government by we, the people. And this social contract theory is based on that basic premise is the liberty. Because we want, every individual wants his liberties or her liberties to be safeguarded. So we come together and we want to create a society. We want to elect a government which is which gives us good governance. And in the whole process, when we talk of social contract theory, we talk of the rights of the individuals or the which are based on liberty. At the same time, elected government, we talk in terms of limited government. That is, the government, once it is elected, does not mean that it has every right to rule in any manner it likes. And that is why constitution is there, which sets down the limitations. And it is this constitution which gives us fundamental rights also. And I would say that fundamental rights are these rights which are across the constitution. Whether constitution is there or not, in any democracy, and that is the example in UK, in any democracy, these rights are recognized because these are natural rights. So, but the problem is what is happening if you see the world at large. And I will draw here something which in a recent How Democracies Die. Stephen Levitsky and Daniel Ziblatt, they have written a very interesting account they have given. Says there was time up to maybe Second World War or little thereafter when the democracies would die because of say fascism, communism, military, etc. There will be military coup and overnight in some country, and the democracies will be taken over by the militaries. He says that it doesn't happen any longer in that form. What is, I would say interesting is, or what is rather challenging and disturbing, is that today it is not those generals, or it is the elected people who many times subvert the democracies. After being elected by the people, and this subversion starts, which they say, in a very legal manner. That is, they would not do anything which may appear to be illegal or as if it is against the law. And it starts like this: when people speak, the first thing is to curtail the freedom of speech. And as all other judges, honorable judges have said, that the people are framed in all the cases, the instances which they are given, under some or the other law. Legal means are adopted, or rather I will say not legal means, legal route is adopted to frame them. And that is where it is something which is really disturbing, which happens. And if I may only quote a few lines from that book, which I think would give the message which I want to give, and which has been stated by my three honorable judges, that many governments' efforts to subvert democracy are legal, in the sense that they are approved by the legislature or accepted by the courts. They may even be portrayed as efforts to improve democracy, making the judiciary more efficient, combating corruption, that is the so-called objectives, or cleaning up the electoral process. Newspapers still publish, but are bought off or bullied into self-censorship. Citizens continue to criticize the government, but often find themselves facing tax or other legal troubles. This is what legal trouble which we are talking about. Whenever a freedom of speech is exercised, I won't go into detail of that, but this is where, and I accept that at the end of the day, there are laws which take care of the such citizens also who are framed like this. And but what we need, on the one hand, the elite or the alert citizenship. On the other hand, I would say we need a robust judiciary, a fearless, impartial judiciary also, because the two fundamental jobs of any judiciary or the judges in a democratic institutions are any democratically governed, constitutionally governed institutions. What is the function of a judge? And Haran Barak has very, aptly described that. First function is to protect the constitution and the rule of law. So therefore, it is the courts which are the protector of rule of law. It is the court which are the protector of democracy and the constitution. They have to come forward and they have to nip such cases in the bud if they happen. And of course, other function is to bridge the gap between the law and the society. That is not so. First function becomes very, very relevant here. So vigilant citizenship coupled with the impartial and fearless judiciary, I would say, which can save the day. Thank you very much.